Um, Everybody got sick with that terrible diarrhea. And when we went, we tried to get out there and pick the hops. That's a very hard job because usually they're up on high wires.
Yeah.
And then as you come there, they said let down the wires. And you strip the hops off the vine.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, don't put any leaves in. And they weigh it. You can imagine how they don't weigh much. So we were paid by weight.
Oh, yeah.
So in the middle of all this, Arlene got real sick, and so Jimmy, and Mom went to be with them in the hospital there in Yakima. And Jimmy died there. And the Friends Church were very, very nice to us. And they saw all about having a little funeral for him and everything. And the rest of us were kind of sick and trying to work. Finally, that episode stopped. And we went to Wenatchee. And most of the picking had been done from the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Except at one time, I'll have to tell you about my mother. She would climb a tree and pick the apples. So this one time, she was on this ladder, and it got away from her, and here she was straddled partly on the ladder and on the tree. And she was so proud she wouldn't even holler for my dad to come and help her. Here she is. So he spotted her and he went, I guess she was mad at him or something. Anyhow, at that time they tried to come and take the car back because we were behind. And my mother just pleaded so pitifully. I listened in on all of that. And he finally said, no, I won't pick it up. He said, I'll just tell him you'll pay. So we were able to keep the car, and we were able to pick enough. After the initial picking, then they did a lot with, the windfalls and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then one day it was decided that we better go on home. And so they shipped Jimmy's body on the train, and my mother rode the train with him. And the rest of us rode with my dad home. And then after we got back to Tualatin, we still had that house. I don't know how we did it. We still rented it. And they had a little funeral for Jimmy and opened up the casket to make sure it was him. And then we kind of settled there, and my dad worked in that garage. And in those days, it was pretty nip and tuck because no books or anything were furnished by the state. You had to buy everything. And, I can remember going to see my dad. I needed 25 cents to do something. Oh, he had to dig deep in his pocket to find that 25 cents for school. Anyhow, things were pretty good. We kept moving from one place to another as the finances were. And we moved into a place that was, had, first of all, it had in the front of it, it had one gasoline pump, which you had by hand, and then they had a place for cars to be fixed. And on the back was living quarters for us. The living quarters were 2 rooms, and there was a little shanty kitchen. And the roof leaked every time it rained. So in there, my mother having to cook with that rain coming in. And it was just kind of a mess. Anyhow, and that was the time that this man evicted us because they said we were behind. We were behind in rent. And we knew that wasn't right. Anyhow, I told you the story about my mother. She's going down to get the attorney, and there's a whole bunch of neighbors, and we're all standing out there watching her drive down that road going over to Tigard. And she gets to the end of the river, she's supposed to turn left, and she didn't turn right. She ran right in the ditch.
Oh no. Was she just upset, or did she not drive very much?
I think she was upset.
Yeah.
She just wasn't watching. Anyhow, we had to move from there, and from there we moved to Wilsonville.
Oh boy.
That's 6 miles, and it's kind of the end of the world.
Yeah.
That place there had a ferry. There was no bridge across.
Right.
You had to take the ferry.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's where I graduated from high school, from grade school.
Grade school, Wilsonville grade school?
Right. And then we realized that was no place for us.
Well, in Wilsonville, were you across the river? Did you have to take the ferry all the time, or
no?
No, you were on this
the
side.
The ferry, yeah, this side.
Okay.
No, we never went across.
Yeah.
There was nothing on the other side.
Yeah.
We rented this place. It had a garage below and living quarters above. And and then you had to come down to the garage to go to the bathroom. That we only had that one, lavatory. And so it was there that Alan Robert was born in 20. See, I was 11. I was 14 years old. That would be 29, 70.
No.
Yeah, 29. He was born in July of 1929. And then as soon as we could, we got out of that and went back to Tualatin again. And we went back to that one place that I had the living quarters in the back. And then after that, the butcher helped us get a place on the main street there, and a little. We opened a service station right there. And then he helped us buy, gas was very cheap, and they bought one of those huge tanks of gas and put it buried in the ground. And he lent us money so that we could get enough gas. So that was a wonderful income. And we still had that one over across the street. But that year of Jimmy's first, of Alan's first year, we had no washroom. And Mom did her wash on a big tin tub outside the place.
Yeah.
And I remember a picture of Alan. I guess he took a bath in that. Also standing there in his birthday suit. But he was never a very healthy boy. Never a very healthy boy. Anyhow, things were a little bit better, and the boys were getting older. And Vic never tried to go to high school. He graduated from grade school all right, but he never tried to go to high school because he knew the folks needed help. So he went to work out and caddying. And Elmer started a little bit in high school, but he quit also. And both of them were out there doing caddying. And so they just turned their money over to my folks. And then as it got older, Vic helped with the service station and everything like that. So that was really a family group. And things were really kind of rough. And that was Depression years, very much.
Yeah.
And we just went from hand to mouth. And it's not like some people that had farms and they had
food,
fruit, they had cows and milk.
Yeah. Like Dad's family.
And we just didn't have things like that. And it was really bad in Wilsonville too.
Yeah.
One time, my mother sent me to some neighbors. Their last name was Todd. I was kind of hooked on the oldest boy. So anyhow, she wanted me to pick up a couple of frying chickens. And she sent me to get them from them. And so while I was there, and they put the chickens in the sack, and I don't think they made enough holes for them. But anyhow, I had to play a game of horseshoes with him.
Were the chickens live?
Yeah, they were alive. And I had a bicycle. It was about almost a mile to walk to ride the bike. And I had them over the handlebar.
Oh no.
Well, anyhow, by the time my mother opened that, they were dead.
Oh.
Oh, anyhow, I remember that I couldn't afford a graduation dress from the 8th grade. So my cousins in Washington, they had a dress. So it was a really nice dress. Oh. So it was nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I had a nice graduation. And then we moved back to, in Scott, Alan was just a baby. And I can remember he was a crock. He just couldn't keep him quiet. He'd go to sleep, and the first thing that happened, he would start crying. So finally my mother, she would get him asleep, and she would tell us, now just be very quiet. I'm going to visit the neighbors across the way, and he should be all right. She no longer walked out the door than he was awake. So then I had to try to get him to sleep again. And we had an old rocking chair, and we had some kittens in that same room. And so I always felt that if you rocked really hard, that would keep him from crying. I was rocking like crazy, and bump, thump, I looked down, and here was a poor dead kitten. Oh, oh golly. Anyhow, we finally got better, and we got able to move out of that, and we moved into a house on the main drag. It was a 2-story house, and it was up above the water, but that's when they had a flood in that winter.
Oh no.
Remember that creek behind there that ran?
Yeah.
And the river came right onto the creek, and it just got more and more. She had canned fruit and things like that in the cellar. And as the water got higher and higher in the cellar, the fruit was clank, 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 clank.
Oh no.
So we got out of that. You couldn't live in there.
No.
We had to move temporarily over there in Sherwood into a hotel. And this is at Christmas time. And then we finally moved to one down that lane after you come down the hill from the high school. And there was a lane that went down, and there was a house there that we were there when I graduated from high school. And I can tell you about the times that we had snow on the ground, and Mom had to buy a lot of our clothes, secondhand. And one winter that I was a freshman in high school, she couldn't afford a coat for me, but she bought me a sweater. And I used to like to play with the basketball group, and we would go play at other schools. So I remember the teacher asking me, "Did you bring your coat today?" I said, "This is all I have." Well, she said, "It'll have to make do." Anyhow, on the way back from this one game, we had a flat tire. The fellow used the school bus to take us. So we all had to get out of that and cold, out of that bus so he could fix the tire.
I think I need to change the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if I missed anything.
Well, you better shut the solar thing off.
Yeah.